So we'll begin our shiur now. I'll share the screen, and I'll share the screen, and we will. Today we're going to look at the Ramban on the first day. The Ramban on the first day. Vayehi or Ken Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. But before that, I want us to try to set up some of our questions for our discussion next session, which will be in 2 weeks. We'll have a Thanksgiving break next Monday. So let's look at the fifth day now. The fifth day, look at the verses. Vayomer Elokim Yishretzu Hamayim Sheretz Nefesh Chaya. So we have the word nefesh that's new for us. So God says, right? Swarm. Sheretz, it would be swarming here, right? Nefesh chaya. So this is the fifth day. So we said day 1 matches day 4, the light and the light. Day 2 is the waters in the sky. So now we're the animals that come forth, right? From the birds in the sky, right? So we get the birds and the fish, right? Do we? Living creatures and birds that fly, right? The expanse. Of yofef al haaretz al pnei rakia shamayim. And here we have the word vayivra. So that wouldn't work so well for the Ramban, right? Because all of the vayivra. But nevertheless, let's press on. God created, initiated, started these taninim hagdolim, these big sea creatures, Ve'et kol nefesh hachaya haromeset asher shartzu hamayim lemineihem. So again, nefesh chaya. So the word nefesh is present here, a live creature. So we're using nefesh here as a sign of life, as opposed to as a sign of a soul, perhaps. That's a question I'm asking you. Asher shartzu hamayim lemineihem. So that came forth from the water, and then all the winged birds, right? Kol kanaf of kanaf lemineu. And now what we said is the evaluation, vayar Elokim kitov. And the Ramban is going to give us on verse 3 his view of what vayar means. But for us, he was examining the creation, and it seemed to be okay. And now here's a new word for us, a new verb, vayivarech. So what is this bracha? This bracha would seem to be not a spiritual bracha, but a bracha is part of nature, right? So vayivarech otam elokim le'mor, and so all the animals that were created got the bracha from Hashem of procreation. And so, Vayi Erev, Vayivoker Yom Chamishi. So it said earlier, Vayar Elokim Kitov, and now Vayi Erev, Vayivoker Yom Chamishi. That was the fifth day. Let's see if we can go on. Now, Vayomer Elokim. So now we're on day 3/6 now, right? So that was the land animals. On 3, all the trees came out. Vayomer Elokim tutzei haaretz, right? The land that was separated and formed on the 3rd day. Now here on the 6th day, let it bring forth living creatures like chaya lemina, behema, right? Beasts, remes v'chayat eretz lemina. Vayichen, and it was so, and they came forward. They responded to the divine summons, and so it says now vayas, right? That other word here, not vayivra, but vayas, right? That's the execution, the same pasuk, and vayar Elokim kitov. So first it said vayichen, now it says vayar Elokim kitov. The evaluation. And as part of this, we haven't completed the day yet. We're still doing the same day. Vayomer Elokim, and we said this past naase Adam. So we said our there could be very many uh, um, shots for naase in plural. It says let us, right? Naase Adam. So we said it's a partnership between Hashem and the earth because all the others were formed differently, but here there's Bitzalmenu Kidmutenu, so we said in our image, right, after our likeness. So we said our pshat for now to get us going is the Tzalmenu is the godly part that man has, Tmutenu is the earthly part that they have. But now it says V'yirdu bidgat hayam, and they will rule basically over creation, the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and the land animals, and everything that is creeping on the land. So the responsibility of taking care of the world and proper governance was part of what was part of the command. And now it says, though, instead of asa, it says vayivra Elokim et Adam b'tzalmo. So he did begin to create man in his image. It says b'tzelem Elokim bara'oto. He began again to create him in this spiritual component. And then it says zachar u'nekeva bara otam. So Deborah, I'm going to give a pshat that's going to be different from your pshat. You can give it later, but I'm going to suggest that this answers Baruch Yosef's original question. Zachar u'nekeva, it switches to plural. Bara otam, plural. That there were many men and women, not connected to each other, but separate from each other, and they were 100% equal. I'm suggesting that Perek Aleph in Bereishit, the Pshat, is man and women were exactly equal in creation, very different than Perek Bet and Gimel. And it says, Vayivarech Otam, which is very interesting. He blessed them would be man and woman, because we say the mitzvah of pru urvu is only on the man, but here in Bereishit, the way we're reading it, he gave them the bracha of procreation, and he said to them, the man and the woman, pru urvu milut haaretz v'kivshuha. So fill the land and take care of it, rule it, master it, but in a very responsible way.
So there was
So
so you're saying there's
yeah.
the concept, or there actually was women at that point?
So I'm suggesting, not necessarily as a result of your question, but as a possible answer to your question, that one pshat, and I've heard teachers teach this pshat, that yes, Perek Aleph in Bereishit, men and women were 100% equal, and the whole world was vegetarian, which we will get to in a minute.
Yeah, but yeah,
vegan.
correct. But Reb Baruch, are you saying that it was that women were created on the
Yes,
sixth day?
yes.
So how do you
Yes.
resolve the fact that it says in Perek Bet that this is someone who shall be called a woman?
Right. So we have so excellent. We have to deal with that question. So we have basically two creation stories. We have Perek Aleph and we have Perek Bet. And so we can either extract different meanings and approaches from each of them, or we can try to meld them, which is what you're trying to say we have an obligation to do. So bear with me for now. And for now, let's deal with them separately. I think when Deborah gives her pshat that they were born and they were connected together in Perek Aleph, then in Perek Bet they get separated from each other. Is that your pshat, Deborah?
Well, that would be my shot in this context, but in another venue, we might say there were two different writers.
well, not two different writers at all, but I'm saying two different ways for us to ask what changed. What changed?
Well,
The big
that's what I'm saying. In a very different venue, we would be talking about two different authors.
So no, I don't think that's a problem to use that lingo. I think you know,
Okay.
even though we're under under Yeshivat Elimelech kind of banner here, I don't think that's a problem. We do have, for example, in Perek Aleph, we use the word bara and asa. In Perek Bet, we have yitzira. But coming back to Baruch Yosef, so for now, I'm suggesting that one way of looking at Perek Aleph is that there were lots of men and women, and then how do we fit into, or how does Perek Bet see? For me, the question is more of this: why did man adopt the idea that a woman is subservient and not equal to a man, which is Perek Bet and Perek Gimel, when they had the chance to adopt this equality of Perek Aleph? So it's a different version of your question, right, Baruch Yosef?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that makes sense. And I
So
understand that there can be a different reading of it, but I think, remember, we took my question even further. What didn't make any sense, what was confusing to me, was where did the other women come from? I understood where Eve came from. I didn't understand where Cain, Hevel, and their wives came from.
So yeah. So on one hand, I hear you, but I'm also suggesting, right? I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying here we can look into Perek Aleph, and I know we like to think that Adam was the father of all humanity, but we can think of, so let's look at the words. No, one more time. Go to again
and even again, even I'm not so focused on the fact of like Adam being the father of humanity. I'm more focused on the broader. I'll take it even more, like I'm more focused on the concept of the tree of knowledge and and what happens leading us. If Adam is the one who takes, and Eve take the bait for the tree of knowledge, that how that contributes to everybody else, or whatever. If there's, like you're saying, there's a concept in Perek Aleph that there's this creation or whatever, and from this creation or whatever, we go forth or whatever. But then these other stories seem to take us down a different path.
So everyone look back at 27 again. Vayivra Elokim et ha-adam. What does ha-adam mean? Ha-adam.
Mankind.
Yes, the species, right? Yes, agree? Yes, the species. We're not Vayivra Elokim et Adam.
Just like vehinei is not one cow. It's obviously all the things that are called vehinei.
Right. So here, so we have a play on words here. So if you'll allow me, and I'm trying to stay on base or on topic here, but ha-adam is the species, but every one of us tries to be a ben adam, right? So to speak. Right. Okay. Anyways, that was my sermon for the night there. That was my sermon for the night. Okay. So we have the bracha of Plurvu. Yeah.
I think another way to think about it is that in Perek Aleph, the animal of man is born, and woman. The animal of human is born. And maybe in Perek Bet, we start talking about the more spiritual side
So, so,
the
so,
separate
so that's
roles of
good.
men and women.
So that's good, and I like it. Can I ask of everyone a favor here now? Let's act as if we haven't read Perek Bet yet. So we're just doing the pshat here as we've read it here, and then we can see when we go to Perek Hey. Perek Hey is like a mirror image of Perek Aleph in terms of the verbs and everything. But let's just stick to this idea of equality. Which is important to us nowadays as we read it. So my question to you is, does the verse support it? That's really, can this be our pshat? Does it work? Do you read it this way? So I will, in a minute, touch on something that Deborah just said. So now let's try to work down here now. So you know what? We won't do the Ramban on verse 3 tonight because we're already so we'll just keep going a little bit here. It's okay, and we'll do the Ramban on verse 3 next time. So here now we're up to 29. Vayomer Elokim hinei natati lechem et kol esev. Here's the vegan part, the vegetarian part. So please see if you agree and see if you read it in the psukim. And then you'll have to contrast this with after Noach in Perek Tet. Like what changed? It changed dramatically. Vayomer Elokim hinei natati lechem et kol esev zorea zera, seeds asher al pnei kol haaretz. I've given to you, right, the seed-bearing plants that can reproduce, that are all over the place on earth. ואת כל העץ אשר בו פרי עץ זורע זרע, and ואת כל עץ אשר בו פרי עץ זורע זרע, לכם יהיה לאוכלה. So who is he saying this to? He's saying this to everybody. He's saying this to everybody. That's a question. Rashi and Ibn Ezra will say he's saying it to everybody. The Ramban will nuance it. Hopefully in about 10 weeks, we'll get to that, Ramban. See, I give you every seed-bearing plant that is upon all the earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruits, they shall be yours to eat. Ulechol chayat hasadeh, ulechol ofer shamayim, ulechol romes al haaretz. All the animals and all the birds and all the creeping on the haaretz that are alive, et kol yerek esev lochla vayichem. I shall give all the green plants for food. And so all of this happened, and that's what they ate. Now, here's the big one now, which see if you'll agree with me, and we'll just stick with these verses tonight. We're going to move on onto the next few verses. So now it says, Vayar Elokim et kol asher asa. God looked at everything that he had completed. Vehinei tov meod, and it was good. It was very good, right? Extra good. But what did we say about man? What about the species of mankind? What did we say? We said vayivra, right? Which is he created, and it's incomplete. So I'm suggesting the pshat here, and go back and look at the psukim, that man is not complete. Man, the species, humans, are not complete. And the question becomes immediately to the reader, so what does it take for man to complete himself? What does that mean? And so man is not included in the vehinei tov meod, the species of man. And so everything else is concluded. Vayerev vayivoker yom hashishi, creation is complete, man is not complete, and it says, Vayechulu hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzvam, right? So the earth, the shamayim might be completely perfect, the earth might be near perfect, right, in all their array, and now it says, God stopped, right? Finished. Vaychal Elokim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa. One more time, the work that he had completed. And now it says Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa. So just like I asked you guys, what is vayomer? What's vayikra? What does it mean when we say vayishbot? God rests. What does that mean? Somebody help me. This is key to all of this. It's key to moving on to Perek Bet.
He stops creating.
Okay. Okay. So say that more strongly. What does that mean? So I'll help. So Shabbat for Hashem means to withdraw from nature, not just to stop creating. So for the Ramban and for all the Muslim theologians of the medieval period, right? God creates and recreates and creates and recreates every millisecond. But for our purposes, Vaishbot is we recognize God let nature be. God stopped being in the world. That's
But he
what
stopped
Shabbat
making new
is.
things, but it doesn't mean that he stopped being here.
So
It's just like
I
if I
didn't
had
say
a machine that was automatically, let's say, separating beans from other seeds, right? So
tell me what's Vayishbot. What's Vayishbot?
I'm saying I think it just means just like we are not allowed to do creative labor on Shabbat. That's what Hashem stopped. He didn't create anything new, but he made sure that everything else ran according to the rules that he set forth in chapter 1.
So I'm saying something. Yes, good. So I'm saying something. So you and Janet I'm saying something a little more strongly to you guys because I'm trying to make a point. I'm trying to make a point. I'm saying so Shabbat is when we live. Of course, we feel and operate like God is with us all the time. Of course, that we're going to get to that for a second. But Perek Aleph. So let me try it this way a little bit. No, let me stick to what I have, and then I'll reinforce it. But by when we come to Perek Bet. So stay with me for a minute, and I'm saying that Shabbat means that God, just like you guys said, completed the work of heaven and earth, and he now can withdraw from nature. So what if you'll buy that, what period of Perek Aleph are we living in now? What day of creation are we living in now? Janet, according to my attempt here.
We're living in the I guess the 6th day.
Seventh day. We're living in the
We're living
seventh
the
day.
7th day. The 7th day.
We're living in the seventh day.
Because he's done creating everything. Yes.
We're living in the seventh day. And what does it mean then when God does a miracle or does a revelation or does Ma'amad Har Sinai in the seventh day? He's Mechalel Shabbat. And why is he Mechalel Shabbat? Because it was necessitated. It was Pikuach Nefesh kind of a thing. That kind of a metaphor. I'm saying that's the Perek Aleph approach to this creation for a second. So we are living in the seventh day of creation. What does it take for man to complete himself? Okay, let's look one more verse. So now we come back to a verb that we know and a verb that's new to us in this perek. Vayevarech Elokim et Yom HaShvi'i. Okay, so we know what Vayevarech is. Basically, it's some kind of a bracha. But now we have a new word, Vayikadesh Oto. He made something kadosh, holy. What does that mean? Kivo Shabbat mikol mlachto asher bara Elokim la'asod. So we have to figure out the purpose on this seventh day. God sanctified it, and in fact, he can because this day has been both blessed and sanctified, since he left everything in this proper state that it was. Now, let me work this further, but a little more quickly. I see we're running out of time. What does it say in Vayikra when we say in Vayikra Yutet, Kiddoshim Tihiyu, right? One of the things that God tells us as either a summons or a commandment, it's a machloket, is we shall be holy. So we can argue and discuss what it means to be holy. But there's a pointer here in this verse, that's trying to tell us that just like Hashem fulfilled his work in nature that allowed him to call this a Shabbat, Vayishbot, on the seventh day, if man will make himself kadosh, if man will then complete himself, then we will have back in this pasuk, Vayar Elokim Kitov, Vayerev Vayivoker Yom HaShvi'i, and how do we know this? Because for one fleeting moment, when the Mishkan was dedicated and sanctified, for one fleeting moment, we had that moment of Kedusha and melding with Hashem, and the Pasuk says, Vayhi Bayom Hashmini. So the purpose, and it was the eighth day in Shmot. So the purpose of man, according to Perek Aleph, is to make it to the eighth day. We are living in the seventh day, and we make it to the eighth day. Let's keep going for a second, and everybody, when we turn off the mic, you can critique this. Eile toldot hashamayim va'aretz v'hi baram. So we have the word toldot. The shoresh of the word toldot is from the word yalad, right, to be born, right? So these are notice. We've discussed this, Ibn Ezra and Ramban, whether it means genealogy or telling the story. It could be both. So here we have Toldot HaShamayim V'Aretz B'hi Baram. So now it doesn't, B'yom Asot Elokim Eretz V'Shamayim. Very fascinating. So God completed, and B'hi Baram, as they were created, B'yom Asot Hashem Elokim, when Hasot Hashem Elokim. And this is what Deborah was getting to. We had in Pasuk Aleph, Bereishit bara Elokim, just Elokim. And here it says, Biyom asot Hashem Elokim. So Perek Aleph is the God of the cosmos, the God of the universe, Elokim, the generic God. Hashem Elokim is the God that we have a relationship with. And that's what the point that Deborah was getting us to. And so that is the sort of the proper end, probably, of chapter 1. Now we could go to chapter 2 for a second. Right? And so we're starting all over, because here we just talked about Vayachulu and everything's complete and everything. We're starting all over. Right? So we're starting from, this is from scratch again, but a different story. Things were not in place yet because God didn't put rain, and there were no humans, So this story immediately shifts its creation to the relationship of humans with God, and that's what creation's about. And that's a different story than, not a contradictory story at all, and not a different theological story at all, but a different story than Perek Aleph. And we will have all kinds of different challenges and different questions in Perek Bet and Perek Gimel than we will have, than we had in Perek Aleph. So now let me see what happens here.